We're not over passive voice yet, and today we're gonna talk more about it. Hi, this is Anne from Just Random English. This video is part 2 of the video which I posted 2 or 3 weeks ago. In that video, I discussed the differences between active and passive voice. When should we use active voice? When should we use passive voice? Is it really necessary to always write our sentences in active voice, or can we just write sometimes in passive voice? I also have there few exercises, so if you're watching this video about passive voice for the first time, I recommend that you watch that video first before you go here. I'm gonna give the verb in active voice, then we're gonna form its passive voice, then we'll talk about the sentences. First, let's have past continuous. Alright, so past continuous is this one. So you'll see there be verb in its past tense with our main verb in ing form. Was preparing, again, was preparing. Let's change this into passive voice. What we have to do is insert being there. So it's was, then being. Then, as always, we need the past participle form of our main verb. The past participle form of this main verb preparing is prepared. Now we have was being prepared. Let's have the sentence. Mr. De La Cruz was preparing a project proposal. Again, Mr. De La Cruz was preparing a project proposal. If you remember what we did last time, we're gonna look for the object of the sentence and make that our subject now. So the object in this sentence is a project proposal. So that will be the subject, a project proposal. And then remember our verb earlier was being prepared. A project proposal was being prepared. Do we need Mr. De La Cruz here? Not really. We can just end with a project proposal was being prepared. We can also say a project proposal was being prepared by Mr. De La Cruz. But again, if you think that the doer of this action or the person who's doing the action is not really needed in the sentence, you may just omit that. Second example, before we move to the other tense, was or were watching, to was or were being watched. The reason that we have there or, we're not really sure whether the subject is singular or plural, but point is we have to use the be verb in its past tense. Let's have this sentence. They were watching a dog playing. Again, they were watching a dog playing. Changing this into passive form, now we have a dog playing, which was before the object. Now it's the subject. A dog playing. Now we can choose from was or were, right? Because we now know the subject. The subject is a dog playing, right? It's singular, so we have to choose was. A dog playing was being watched. Again, a dog playing was being watched. Again, we can add by them, but we can just leave that out. The next one, let's have present perfect tense. So present perfect tense is like this one. We have has or have plus the past participle form of our verb. First example is has made. Now, if we're trying to change that into passive voice, what we have to do is we just have to insert been. Now, changing that into passive form, we just have to add been in the middle of them. Has been made. Let's have this sentence. She has made breakfast for me. Again, she has made breakfast for me. Breakfast for me has been made. Again, breakfast for me has been made. Or we can just simply say breakfast has been made. Because just like before, objects in these sentences are not really needed. Second example, has or have pitched. Again, has or have pitched. Once we change this into passive voice, we now have has or have been pitched. They pitched tents near the river. Again, they pitched tents near the river. To pitch a tent means to put up a tent. So it's basically to build a tent. Now, once we change this into passive form, we have tents have been pitched. Again, tents have been pitched. another verb tense in the past, let's have past perfect tense. When we are changing verbs in active voice and they are in past perfect tense, it's very easy as long as you also know how to change verbs in active voice and are in present perfect tense, because they are just the same. So if in present perfect tense we add been, we also do that in past perfect tense. From had washed, we now have had been washed. Let's have the sentence. He had washed the dishes. Again, he had washed the dishes. Changing this into passive form, we now have the dishes had been washed. Again, the dishes had been washed. Second example, had gathered. Again, had gathered. Change this into passive form, we now have had been gathered. Yes, that's correct. The leader had gathered members of the group. Again, the leader had gathered members of the group. Now I want you to try changing this into passive voice. Members of the group had been gathered. Again, members of the group had been gathered. I hope you are understanding the lesson so far. Let's move to simple future tense. Let's say the verb is will submit. Again, will submit. That is obviously in simple future tense. If we have to change this into passive voice, we have to insert be, then the main verb should be in its past participle form. So from will submit, it will now become will be submitted. Let's have an example sentence. Kat will submit her artwork. Again, Kat will submit her artwork. Let's try changing this sentence into passive voice. Her artwork will be submitted. Again, her artwork will be submitted. Second example, will check. Again, will check. Try changing this into passive voice. Yes, that's correct. It's will be checked. Again, will be checked. Let's have an example sentence. Miss Guevara will check the quizzes. Again, Miss Guevara will check the quizzes. Change this into passive voice. The quizzes will be checked. Again, the quizzes will be checked. If your answer is the quizzes will be checked by Miss Guevara, you're also right. Now, what if we have an infinitive there? An infinitive means to plus the base form of the verb, just like this, to record. If we have an infinitive there, just insert be, then write the main verb in its past participle form. So from to record, now we have to be recorded. She has to record her teaching demonstration. Again, she has to record her teaching demonstration. Changing this into passive voice, we have her teaching demonstration has to be recorded. Again, her teaching demonstration has to be recorded. Try changing this into passive voice, to water. So earlier we inserted be and we formed the past participle form of the main verb. We're gonna do the same thing here, to be watered. Again, to be watered. Change this into passive form, we have his bonsai has to be watered. Again, his bonsai has to be watered. The last one in this lesson, what if we have modals in our sentences? Let's have should and then cook. Should cook. Change this into passive form. Just insert be, then write the main verb again in its past participle form. That's easy, right? Now from should cook, it's now should be cooked. Let's have example sentences. I should cook dinner. Dinner should be cooked. Again, I should cook dinner. Dinner should be cooked. Let's have another modal, might plus finish, might finish. If we have to write this in passive form, it's might be finished. Again, might be finished. He might finish the video on time. Again, he might finish the video on time. The video might be finished on time. Again, the video might be finished on time. You might have a question here, why did we not change the position of on time? Because that is a prepositional phrase, we can just retain its position at the end of the sentence. And we're done! Yay! I hope that after watching 2 videos from this channel about active and passive voice, you'll be able to distinguish one from another. You can do that. That's also the reason that I didn't give that much examples when it comes to passive voice with the by phrase, because that's where things get confusing. Once we don't see the by phrase in sentences, right? There are still confusing parts, there are still some gray areas. You can go ahead and re-watch the 2 lessons. You may also search on Google, look for more examples, more references. I am not limiting you to my videos or videos on my channel. You can always go ahead and look for other videos out there. If you have suggestions, topics that you want to learn and I haven't posted anything about them yet, write them in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of my videos. Share this with other learners. I really appreciate that. And as always, dream and make your dream happen. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!